Do you think John Bonham is the greatest drummer?
I think John Bonham or Keith Moon would be the two greatest drummers.
Ringo Starr, come on.
Ringo Starr, I
hate to be an old school guy.
You can be as old school as you want, but
First
to
of all,
play,
you don't come on my show and disagree with me. I'm Pat O'Brien. Here we are. Everything
I'm
all the time.
I'm all the time, man.
Court
Two
McGowan
different
is
genres,
here.
though.
Court, that was funny, actually. Court, a great comedian here in the L.A. area, all over the country, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah. He was telling me great stories last night about, and John Amato, our political brains. You were telling me a great story last night about, you walked into the parking lot. Can I tell the story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Comedy store. And
Is it when he said the P word?
no, he looked up and there was Robin Williams.
Yeah, I did.
And at that point in your career, Robin Williams was like what?
Robin Williams was the big. Still, unfortunately
Yeah,
not with
God
us,
love
but
him.
yeah, it's the Comedy Store is the greatest comedy club in my opinion, in the country, just because of the history. And I was there one night, late night, those late night awful spots. And I'm sitting there waiting to go on. It's like 12:30, 12:45. I'm just there. Whitney Cummings was up on stage, and I was just going, please, get off the fucking stage so I can get up there and get this over with and go home. And I looked to my right, and there's Robin Williams standing in the doorway, and I was like, oh shit, And earlier that night, Chris Rock had popped in and gone up, and I want to say maybe Chappelle or somebody else. So it was like just this night of these amazing comedians who'd come in. And then
Robin Williams.
And then Robin Williams is there, and he came in, and all of a sudden the room got packed again. The room had emptied out. It's 12:45, 1 o'clock in the morning. Everyone had left. But when they heard Robin was there,
they came back.
Everybody, the room filled up, like 200 people came in. And I was like, oh, shit. And so he goes up, does like 30, 40 minutes, whatever, just a quick set, whatever he wants, just destroys the room. And then, then he drops the mic, and then they bring me up, and everyone started to get up. And I was like, you motherfuckers, And so I just walked up and I go, hey, where's everybody going? I go, Cosby's in the parking lot. He's up next. Hang on. And people sat down, and it was one of the greatest nights, ever there.
Well, Cosby is not up next here, I'll tell you.
No.
And he's got some problems. John Amato is here. We're talking politics. I love that story, by the way.
Thank you.
The New Hampshire primary is underway. What about somebody that speaks for the other side, John? Like somebody brought up on our site, Elizabeth Warren.
Yes.
And she's great on, you tell me.
I mean, she's been wonderful for the progressive movement in general, but also for the American people because we were talking off air about the crash and what happened, basically fomented by the mortgage bankers and all that. We don't need to get into the ins and outs. You could watch The Big Short.
Or Billions.
Right, yeah. But she's been a dynamo on holding Wall Street and holding the big banks accountable and not letting that happen again, because it was simple greed on many levels, many different levels, and nobody cared what was going to happen to the average Joe or any American who were getting these crazy loans that as people, who ever heard of getting an interest-only loan on $1 million house and you're making $25,000? And then
surprised, it's over.
But I used to watch these waitresses in Las Vegas because I was doing a show in Vegas when all this was really going on, and they had 3 homes. They would buy a home, they'd get $25,000 for getting the loan. They'd take that $25,000, put it down on another house, get another loan for that one. They'd have 3 places moving. It was like ridiculous.
When I bought my first house in LA, it was during the housing boom. Remember when it was just crazy? And I got this little house in Studio City for $1.1 million, 1978.
Wow.
But I mean, that's when everything was like, everything went from 150,000 to $1 million. Remember that time?
Well, I wasn't here then.
Okay, but that's all right. But did you read, or do you have a?
I know. I heard about it. Housing
should
boom
check out
back
this
then.
website.
It's kind of like now.
There's a website called Crooks and Liars. It's good.
I'm not one.
Are you lying?
No. So I would say to people, I always wanted to. I grew up in South Dakota. I always wanted to live in a $1 million home. I just never knew this would be the $1 million home.
A one-bedroom, half-bath.
Exactly. It was like 900 square feet. What's on crooksandliars.com?
Excuse me? What's on?
What's on the website?
Oh, there. Well, we have.
I know what's on it.
Okay, we have the Trump story, obviously. I haven't checked it as yet because my
No, I
great
don't mean now. I mean like in general.
Oh, well, general. Well, we do many things. We help get the word out for progressive candidates running for Congress. One of my big areas has always been media criticism, holding the media accountable for what they do or don't do, and when they do a good job, say, hey, that was great. Or mostly they don't do a good job. But we also focused on how crazy the Republican Party has changed. And if you just go back to 2004, when I started Crooks and Liars actually is September 1st of 2004. And at that time, obviously it was during the Iraq War, after 9/11, but the only people that sounded nuts on TV and on radio was Ann Coulter. For the most part, Ann was like, she would just go off about the UN, right? But I'm saying she had a brand, that was very, in your face and just crazy stuff. But when you saw like members of Congress in Senate or in, the House of Representatives, they were still, they sounded like normal people. And then when you flash forward now, it's like, that's why I said like Ann Coulter doesn't have the cachet anymore, because the entire Congress and Senate, they sound like Ann Coulter. So she's not saying anything that's like off the cuff anymore, because you got senators and you got congressmen saying the most insane things.
Right. What about Marco Rubio?
Marco.
I mean,
the bubble boy, as Trump calls.
and don't forget.
No, that was Christie. Excuse me. Christie called him the bubble boy.
But don't forget how smart that term is, because that was you're too young.
Right.
It wasn't Bubble Man.
Yeah. Right. It's all about.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if you remember when he gave the response to the State of the Union.
Here's all he did.
And, it's like. There's an article.
Didn't we talk about this at dinner last night? He couldn't put the water where he could reach it. He would always set it like over here.
Yeah.
And then he'd get dry mouthed again, like he's whatever. And
that always bugs me, to watch someone drink water. Like, when
someone
does that, when someone like violently drinks water, it's just like, oh,
there's something wrong.
There's something wrong.
I don't know, but there's something wrong.
They're a little too nervous for me. It's like that key could get turned just a little too quick.
Now, isn't that what saliva's for? If you're
right, but he has a habit of getting dry mouth in inopportune times. There's an article in BuzzFeed this morning.
Fun to watch.
I know. That whole thing was hysterical, because you got the lights on him, so he's sweating profusely, and every 5 seconds he's grabbing the water. I mean, it's been such an embarrassing period for so many Republican politicians and the GOP in general. But there's an article in BuzzFeed today where they talk about like his closest people that said like he just has a habit of having those kinds of moments under duress. And you could see when Christie, the number one bully, he's usually beating up teachers and people that work for unions. So I don't think Rubio expected it. But when he called him out, Rubio got so shocked, he just kept repeating his stump speech. It was amazing,
Chris Matthews, who I love, by the way, thought he had lost his mind. He actually said that on the air. He said, "Has he got some emotional problem?" I mean, he just kept saying the same thing over and over and over.
Let me ask you one question. Do you think...
He kept saying the same thing
over all the time, everything all the time. But don't you
Marco
think that no
Bass.
matter whatever happens in this election, whoever it is, it's going to be 4 years and out, because somebody's got to rise up from all this crap and actually spend the next time like building something up, because we like Pat said at the beginning of the show, there are no real true standouts. There's nobody that really
By the way, remind these guys, and I'm going to let you go in a second, but remind these guys that they're not running against Barack Obama.
No.
He's not on the ticket.
No.
Right.
It's Bernie Sanders or
Hillary
a woman
Clinton.
that nobody has slept with in like 20 years. That thing looks dry. I'm sorry. She needs the water bottle.
Can we go back and erase some of these words? Can we get that moment back? John, thank you so much. It's Crooks and Liars. Crooks and Liars, no underscore anything.
Just crooksandliars.com.
John Amato's the guy. I'm not going to ask you to make a political prediction, but can this season get any crazier?
Absolutely. I mean, we're just in
You
the
love
second
it.
primary.
Right.
Now we're moving on. You have South Carolina, you have Nevada coming, which is a caucus. We're just getting started, and with the Republicans, if things don't break right, the RNC really hurt themselves badly because they were embarrassed in 2012 how that whole political process went. The debates were just so embarrassing that they tried to change all these rules, and instead of having
Didn't
more
work.
winner take all states for the delegates, now they're breaking them up. So the fact is that it could be a while before anybody's got any kind of significant amount of delegates to win the nomination.
Yeah.
And I'll just one other quickie, if I can. With Republicans always talking about their open carry,
Right.
everybody wants to walk around with their 6-shooters. Well, in Cleveland, they're having their convention, right? That's an open carry area.
That's right.
It's like I'm just letting it's like, can you imagine? Like everybody's tied in delegates, and all of a sudden everybody's drinking, and now guns are being drawn into the Republican convention. Just saying.
Please don't. John Amato, I love
Hope
you.
not.
Thanks for coming in. Always
Good to
great to
see
see
you.
you. Dave Stevens, your driver. Always great to see him again. And we'll talk to you soon. crooksandliars.com. Court and I will be back in a minute.